Welcome to the Sad Crime Channel. Today's story took place in the United States. It was a quiet September evening in 1996, and former Los Angeles City Attorney Jose Garza, 50, was spending night with his wife. After intimate games, Mrs. Garza asked her husband to go to the garage and bring diet ice cream from the freezer. Jose agreed to the request and headed off to get the treat. It was approaching 11 p.m. The residence in Sylmar, a suburb of the City of Angels, where the couple and their 3 young children lived, was drowning in darkness. Suddenly, the silence was broken by the barking of dogs. Jose stopped in mid-step, concerned by this alarm. Could it be that someone was trying to break into the house? He decided to check it out, but before doing so, he took out a gun from his locker, one of the many weapons he had in his collection. Garza carefully opened the garage door, then reached with his hand for the light switch. That's when 3 shots rang out. All missed their targets. Jose, however, managed to catch a glimpse of the assailant dressed in what he later described as a ninja outfit. The former prosecutor pulled the trigger. The black silhouette grabbed his stomach and fell to the floor. Jose rushed to the phone to call the police. Garza's family, that is, Jose, his 32-year-old wife Nicole, and their 3 young children, were taken to the police station for a statement. At that time, officers searched the property. They found no signs of burglary, but instead tracked down the attacker. He was lying wedged between the freezer and the boiler. Blood was oozing from his abdomen. The masked intruder was taken to the hospital, and forensic technicians set about securing traces. Among other things, they found the gun the robber used to shoot Jose, as well as 2 bullet marks just above the light switch. There was no doubt that Jose had miraculously escaped death. A wristband with the keys to a Ford Bronco car, which certainly did not belong to the family, was also found on the garage floor. Mr. and Mrs. Garza testified separately. Jose emphasized the fact that he fired in self-defense. As a former prosecutor, he could have had many enemies, so he was prepared to act accordingly if necessary. He collected weapons and knew how to use them, yet he wanted a charge of premeditated murder more than anything else. Nicole seemed much less concerned. She shamelessly recounted that just before the whole incident, she had sex with her husband, after which she craved ice cream. While detectives were thinking about the motive of the shooter, unexpected news came from the hospital. The gunman ninja turned out to be Nicole Garza's sister, Lynette LaFontaine Trujillo. Confronted with this information, Jose was genuinely surprised. He stated that he had no relationship with this woman, neither good nor bad. He didn't understand why this petite woman, a mother of 4, could want his death. Classmates at Monroe High School, which Nicole and Lynette attended, recalled that the red-haired girls known as Nikki and Gogi were quite popular and universally liked. Lynette was a creative, artistic soul. Nicole was rather hard-headed. Later, the differences only deepened. Nikki achieved success in life. She graduated from law school and worked as a lawyer in divorce cases. She was beautiful, rich, and on top of that, she created a wonderful family alongside a respected prosecutor. Her sister could only envy her. Gogi was unable to find her way in life. At 34, she lived with her parents and worked as a waitress. From a young age, she struggled with many problems. First of all, she lacked self-confidence and self-acceptance, which resulted in bulimia. Later came drug addiction and failure in love. Lynette married Miguel Trujillo. The couple was blessed with 3 sons, but the relationship did not stand the test of time. During the divorce, she was represented by her sister. In 1994, Lynette once again became a mother. The son, as in the previous case, stayed with his father. After the breakup of another relationship, LaFontaine Trujillo moved back in with her parents. She worked 2 shifts as a waitress in San Fernando Valley restaurants. She missed her children and met with them whenever she could. A neighbor remembered her playing with her kids at the pool in one of the apartment buildings in early September 1996. She was a really sweet person, recalled her friend. I think she had no idea how many people loved her. Yet life's setbacks don't make a person a murderer. Detectives wondered what motive Lynette might have had. The answer came with the discovery of a Ford Bronco belonging to Trujillo. The car was standing a few blocks from the Garza home. Scraps of paper were crumbling inside. After putting the fragments together, she was able to determine that they were letters that someone had sent to her. Investigators managed to read, among other sentences, "You are mentally strong enough to do this and forget. You are stronger than you think. Wear a wig, but do not wear makeup. Take gloves with you. The next day, behave normally. Go to a manicurist. Make sure she shortens your nails. Don't be late for work." With that, it became clear that someone had persuaded La Fontaine Trujillo to commit the crime. That someone was undoubtedly Nicole. After all, police officers managed to discover that she had long complained to her sister about the nightmare she was supposed to be experiencing in her marriage. Jose beat her, humiliated her, and sexually abused her. It would have been best for everyone if he had simply disappeared. There was also the fact that Mrs. Garza would thus become the sole heir. However, she did not want to get her hands dirty herself. She persuaded a member of her immediate family to commit murder. In one of her letters, she convinced Lynette that after everything was over, she would take care of her. She would pay for the much-wanted breast surgery, find a better job, and help regain custody of her children. The desperate, life-deprived mother of 4 finally agreed to help her sister. Nicole Garza was arrested 2 days after the shooting. Jose supported his wife. He could not believe the words of the investigators and regularly visited her. He maintained that despite the considerable age difference, they were a close-knit couple and loved each other very much. 3 children were to be proof of this. They were such a lovely couple, an acquaintance of Mr. and Mrs. Garza recounted. "It's shocking. Nicole Garza is a wonderful woman and a good mother." 2 weeks later, Lynette La Fontaine Trujillo died at Holy Cross Hospital without regaining consciousness. She was therefore unable to present her version of events. She orphaned 4 children. The youngest was explained that mommy was working a lot, so she couldn't see him. The middle child was convinced that mother had abandoned them. The oldest, 10 years old, called further family members twice a day to make sure they hadn't disappeared. How do you explain to a child that his mother is dead, killed by his uncle, and his aunt is in prison? Wondered Jillian Siegel, a distant relative of Lynette. On October 8, 1996, Miss Garza was formally charged with her sister's murder, conspiracy, and attempted premeditated murder. Nicole went along with the prosecution. She voluntarily admitted to intentionally causing death and attempted murder, thereby avoiding the harshest penalty, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. However, she refused to testify. According to the prosecutor, she handed Lynette the gun, the keys to her own home, and the crime instruction written on a computer on Tuesday, September 24th. Everything was supposed to go smoothly, but on the fateful night, Jose was also armed. He was lucky enough not only to avoid being shot, but also to knock down his opponent and come out of the assassination attempt unscathed. Nicole did not expect this at all. She wrote in a letter to her sister that the first bullet would certainly take her husband's life. In case of trouble, Lynette was to fire 2 more shots into his back. The motives of the murderess have not been fully explained. However, it is known that she repeatedly complained of financial and personal problems. She convinced her sister that Jose held her and their 3 children with an iron fist and was very controlling. But even if all this was true, the first thing that should have come to the unhappy spouse's mind was divorce, not murder. The judge hearing the case described it as a story like from the works of Franz Kafka, with all their darkness and twists and turns. For Jose, everything was simply an aberration. He constantly supported his wife. He claimed that her behavior had changed under the influence of the weight loss pills she had taken 5 months before the attack. Otherwise, she certainly would not have wanted to deprive him of his life. Adding spice to the whole affair was the fact that Nicole met her current husband during a divorce case. Or more precisely, she was his legal representative. It was thanks to her that Mr. Garza did not have to give his ex-wife a collection of weapons. The young lawyer quickly fell in love with her client, and he with her. Jose did not hesitate. First he proposed, and soon after that he married Nicole, who was nearly 20 years younger. Nicole Garza pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and attempted murder. Jose called the events an aberration and still supported his wife, attributing her erratic behavior to diet pills. In January 1997, Nicole Garza received a sentence of 15 years to life. She left the prison walls in 2012. She has reportedly remarried and moved in with her new husband in Arizona. She does not keep in touch with her children from a previous relationship. Jose Garza has also put his life back together. He married a widowed woman named Janice. In 2009, Jose Garza Jr. was taken into custody on charges of possession of pornography involving children. He claimed that his deviant behavior was responsible for his traumatic childhood, during which he witnessed his father's violent behavior. In the process, it came to light that Garza Sr. also abused his last wife. The woman was even said to have gone to therapy to find the strength to maintain the relationship. Jose was reportedly a sex addict and forced all of his partners into licentious bed practices. In this context, Nicole's testimony, which emphasized that she wanted to get rid of her husband to free herself from the nightmare, took on a completely different meaning. She may actually have been driven to extremes by Jose, who, she claimed during the divorce case, once broke her jaw. It is worth noting at this point that Nicole's claims were supported by the retired prosecutor's two previous wives, against whom he was also alleged to have used violence. The distant family could not forgive Nicole for what she did, regardless of her motives. Aunts raising Lynette's orphaned children stressed that with her atrocious act, the murderess had taken away the mother not only from her sister's children but also from her own. One of the women confided to the media just after the last court hearing that she nevertheless loved Nicole because she was her niece, and blood ties cannot simply be erased from the heart. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.